Welcome, Dr. Chris here. I thought I'd take my turn at making a in-car video, right? So many people do them, so I thought I would do one too. Let's take a minute and talk a little bit today about the mindset that successful couples use to have fantastic, energized, and ongoing relationships. And by ongoing, I mean ones that can adapt. One can change to the test of time because we all change over time. Who you are in your 40s is not who you were in your 20s, is not who you were in your teens, and most likely not who you'll be in your 50s. In order to have a long-term successful relationship, you need to have the skills that are going to take and help you transition over those times. If you're unable to manage those transitions, if you're unable to make the adaptations necessary over time, the relationship won't seem as satisfying. The relationship won't seem as though it is serving the same purpose that it once did. And for many, often that is the start of a decline that often leads to the relationship no longer existing, right? So part of it is having the mindset that we need to transition to make changes. Now let's talk about how you go about doing that. Okay, so managing the transitions. For one, communication is vitally important. Being able to talk about the things you need that have changed from what you needed before. Being able to talk about the things you can give or want from the relationship that are different from what they were before is key to being able to manage the transitions. But it's more than just communication. And we'll talk about some of the communication skills needed in a minute. But another thing that it involves is having the right mindset, right? I'm huge on having the right mindset, realizing kind of a vision, sort of seeing the relationship through different eyes, seeing your role in the relationship differently, seeing how you manage conflict and your role in conflict management and resolution differently. And if you can imagine things being different, if you can see your role as different, your purpose as different, and your goals as different, this mindset can go a long way to help you make the transitions that you need to make. And now we'll start talking a little bit about some of the key mindset shifts, so to speak, that we all need to make to maintain a long-lasting relationship that can stand the test of time by managing the transitions that come up in our relationship. Since we're talking about making a shift in mindset, the way you think about the relationship, your role in the relationship, how you function in the relationship, let's take one of the key ones that I think affects a lot of us and can make a huge difference. I'm a firm believer at first that you can't get away from conflict. Humans are a little bit messy, and we have our own feelings, our own beliefs, our own attitudes, our own histories, our way of being in the world. Imagine two people with all this, try to merge them into one life. It's a big goal to merge into one life. So what happens is invariably there's going to be times where we step on each other's toes, bump heads, or anything of that nature where things don't go perfectly smooth. It's unavoidable. There will always be conflict where people are in relationships, regardless of the type of the relationship, whether it's a business relationship, a romantic relationship, a friendship, whatever it might be. Now, knowing that conflict is bound to exist and that there's not a lot we can do to eliminate it entirely, we can minimize it, but I don't think we can ever entirely eliminate it. So one of our goals is to manage that conflict in a way that I think is productive and helpful, and can maybe even lead to lasting growth in the relationships. So let's take a look at one way to do this during conflict to sort of make a shift, a mind shift, so to speak. First off, think about what is your goal during a conflict? What are you there to achieve? What is your purpose during a conflict? For many of us, while you think about that, for many of us, it's to win. I have a point of view, it's not matching your point of view. I have a desire, it's not matching your desire, whatever it might be. Now, that's where the conflict comes in. I'm trying to convince you that I'm right, my way is right, we should do it this way or that way. You're trying to do the same thing during that conflict. So each of us sort of has an agenda that we're coming into the conflict with, and that generally is to win, to convince, to get our way, whatever it might be. One thing that I suggest frequently to couples is that change, that right there needs to change. From an adversarial, I need to win perspective, changing that up to a different view. And I like to tell people, during a conflict, your goal is no longer to win. It's not to win. Your goal is to listen and understand. Because if you can truly stop trying to win for a moment, listen to what the other person is saying, what their needs, wants, and desires might be, then you're in a much better position to continue this and find a resolution that may be more workable for both of you. Now imagine if both people have the goal of listening and understanding rather than trying to win. How differently every conversation would go during a conflict. Instead of trying to convince you that I'm right, that I have the answers, that it's got to be my way, if I'm listening to you and trying to understand you, you're listening to me and trying to understand my point of view, together we're doing more listening, we're not adversarial, and we're more likely to come up with an outcome, a solution, whatever it might be, that works better for each of us. So let that sink in for a minute, and we'll come back to it.